keg or two to carry beside. Then Elzevir, who was in command, gave the word, and we began to file away from the beach up to the undercliff. Now, what with the cargo being heavy, we were longer than usual in getting away, and though there was no sign of sunrise, yet the night was greyer, and not so blue as it had been. We reached the undercliff, and were moving across it to address ourselves to the bridle path, and so wind sideways up the steep, when I saw something moving behind one of the plums of brambles with which the place is beset. It was only a glimpse of motion that I had perceived, and could not say whether 'twas man or animal, or even frightened bird behind the bushes. But others had seen it as well. There was some shouting. Half a dozen flung down their kegs and started in pursuit. All eyes were turned to the bridle path, and in a twinkling hunters and hunted were in view. The greyhounds were Damon and Garrett, with some others, and the hare was an older man, who leapt and bounded forward faster than I should have thought any but a youth could run. But then he knew what men were after him, and that 'twas a race for life. For though it was but a moment before all were lost in the night, yet this was long enough to show me that the man was none other than Maskew, and I knew that his life was not worth 10 minutes' purchase. Now I hated this man, and had myself suffered something at his hand, besides seeing him put much grievous suffering on others, but I wished then with all my heart he might escape, and had a horrid dread of what was to come. Yet I knew all the time escape was impossible, for though Maskew ran desperately, the way was steep and stony, and he had behind him some of the fleetest feet along that coast. We had all stopped with one accord, as not wishing to move a step forward till we had seen the issue of the chase, and I was near enough to look into Elzevir's face, but saw there neither passion nor bloodthirstiness, but only a calm resolve, as if he had to deal with something well expected. We had not long to wait, for very soon we heard a rolling of stones and trampling of feet coming down the path, and from the darkness issued a group of men, having Maskew in the middle of them. They were hustling him along fast, 2 having hold of him by the arms, and a third by the neck of his shirt behind. The sight gave me a sick qualm, like an overdose of tobacco, for it was the first time I had ever seen a man man-handled, and a fellow creature abused. His cap was lost, and his thin hair tangled over his forehead. His coat was torn off, so that he stood in his waistcoat alone. He was pale, and gasped terribly, whether from the sharp run, or from violence, or fear, or all combined. There was a babel of voices when they came up, of desperate men who had a bitterest enemy in their clutch, and some shouted, "Club him! Shoot him! Hang him!" while others were for throwing him over the cliff. Then someone saw under the flap of his waistcoat that same silver-hafted pistol that lay so lately near the lease of the Why Not, and snatching it from him, flung it on the grass at Block's feet. But Elzevir's deep voice mastered their contentions. "Lads, ye remember how I said when this man's reckoning day should come, 'twas I would reckon with him, and had your promise to it. Nor is it right that any should lay hand on him but I, or is he not sealed to me with my son's blood? So touch him not, but bind him hand and foot, and leave him here with me, and go your ways. There's no time to lose, for the light grows apace." There was a little muttered murmuring, but Elzevir's will overbore them here, as it had done in the vault, and they yielded the more easily, because every man knew in his heart that he would never see Maskew again alive. So within 10 minutes all were winding up the bridle path, horses and men, all except 3, for there were left upon the brambly greensward of the undercliff Maskew and Elzevir and I, and the pistol lay at Elzevir's feet. End of chapter 8. Recording by Simon Evers.